Ever wondered why Apple, already a giant in the tech world, keeps raking in profits year after year? It's not just about selling gadgets. Stick around till the end to discover this clever tactic and decide for yourself. Is it sheer genius or just plain controversial? In several areas of technology, Apple and Google compete against one another. There are mobile operating systems for smartphones, iOS and Android. However, Google is scarcely a competitor there when it comes to the Pixel versus the iPhone. Google Maps and Apple Maps are competitors. However, Apple is barely a rival in this case. However, Google annually contributes billions of dollars to Apple, filling its coffers. Both corporations have been upfront about the agreement, thus it is not a secret one. Here we discuss the situation specifics, including why Google pays Apple. Here, default is the key word rather than the keyword. Well, that could be seen negatively. Apple and Google find it overwhelmingly favorable. Google pays Apple to set its search engine as the default for Safari web browser on the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Additionally, any search on an Apple device via Siri, Chrome, or the search app uses Google Search by default. Google outlined the idea behind Apple's decision in a blog post titled The Keyword. Since Google is considered the best, Apple includes Google Search in its Safari browser. Moreover, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, stated that Google has the finest search engine on the market in an interview with Axios in 2018. In 2005, it was agreed that Safari on Mac devices would launch with Google Search as the default search engine. It wasn't supposed to be such a huge deal, but the deal persisted when the iPhone was introduced 2 years later. Moreover, the iPad was introduced in 2010 and kept becoming bigger. The value of the transaction would have soared enormously as more Apple gadgets were sold. So, how much money does Google pay to Apple for the service? Is it billions? It is so significant that according to a New York Times investigation, it may be the single biggest payment that Google makes to anyone. Additionally, it contributes between 14 and 21% of Apple's annual revenues. The financials were not a secret but became public when US officials began looking into the acquisition. It was discovered in 2014 that Google gave Apple $1 billion. Over time, it has increased eventually. According to Bernstein analysts, Google's annual payments to Apple reached $15 billion in 2021. It was anticipated to reach somewhere between $18 billion and $20 billion the following year. Is the service worth it for Google, or is it just a waste of money? Simply put, there are too many Apple products in circulation. Google can create an absurdly large traffic volume by making its search engine the default on such devices. According to a New York Times analysis, Apple devices account for nearly half of Google's search traffic. Additionally, the majority of Google's revenue comes from online advertising. According to estimates, Google earned nearly $104 billion from search advertising in 2020. Hence, this accounted for 71% of Google's overall advertising revenue and 57% of Alphabet's, Google's parent company, revenue. Apple products guarantee that the intended audience see these advertisements. Therefore, Google's decision to provide that kind of money to a competitor is entirely justified. Is Google the only company to pay Apple to create traffic, or are there any other brands that use a similar strategy? Let's have a look. Bing and Yahoo receive payments from Microsoft to appear in Apple's search alternatives. DuckDuckGo is also a possibility. Is this a scam that people are forced to use Google on Apple devices? Are people brainwashed to use the search engine? No, changing the default search engine on any Apple device is easy. Google knows that few individuals would want to transfer from its dominant position in the search market. Google continues to pay Apple billions of dollars, although most people do not choose to exercise their options, suggesting that Google is aware of this. Even though Apple can generate revenue from brands like Google and Microsoft, most of their profits depend on iPhone sales. So think of a situation where people cannot avail of Apple Cloud service when they're no longer iPhone users. Despite having its origins in the personal computer industry, Apple's company is no longer primarily focused on that sector. Instead, even though the company's other products are worthwhile, iPhones have taken over as the company's main product line. Investors must be aware that the fact that the IT titan is so heavily focused on one product line poses a danger. Let's examine the iPhone's importance to Apple and its implications for the stock. iPhone sales accounted for 56% of Apple's $117 billion in total revenue in the first quarter of its fiscal 2023. The mix of the remaining segment's revenue contributions is somewhat dispersed. Investors may ask if it's time to reconsider buying shares of Apple after the company's overall revenue fell 5.5% in Q1, especially given the company's top product appeared to suffer. However, it's not preferable to draw inferences from this performance. Despite Apple releasing their new iPhone 14 series, sales of iPhones decreased, which may be a major warning sign. However, the company's inability to maintain sufficient inventory levels of the new phone during the holiday season resulted in lost sales. But that doesn't mean those sales were gone forever just because Apple didn't have phones to offer during those 2 months. Even while they don't affect Apple's business nearly as much, the other categories shouldn't be disregarded. The launch of the 10th generation iPad in the first quarter was met with significant demand and a roughly 30% increase in sales. Due to a sluggish PC market, the Mac lineup made up for it. Services is one industry sector that can lighten the iPhone's weight. This market should expand as Apple releases new goods to encourage users to use its ecosystem for almost all aspects of their lives. Furthermore, because many of these products are subscription-based, it is less reliant on consumer strength. Is there anything that investors should be concerned about, considering that the iPhone is still the company's top dog? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Apple's marketing has evolved into a standard for other businesses, aiming for comparable levels of popularity and profitability. The most important marketing lessons may be learned from Apple, regardless of whether you're a top-tier content marketing company, a service software, or a product. The main goals of Apple's digital marketing plan are to build a solid brand identity and engage customers in numerous ways. The organization prioritized delivering a fantastic customer experience across all channels, including its website, applications, and social media platforms. Additionally, their material is consistently aesthetically pleasing, user-friendly, and device-optimized. The foundation of Apple's B2B strategy is the brand's standing for security, dependability, and quality. Apple can position itself as a major participant in the enterprise sector and make money from corporate clients by offering goods and services suited to enterprises' requirements. Creating specialized hardware and software solutions that meet the unique demands of business is one of the main pillars of Apple's B2B strategy. Hence, this includes software like macOS Server and Apple Business Manager, and the enterprise-grade variations of Apple goods, including the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Moreover, the firm collaborates with outside solution providers and developers to offer a variety of business-specific apps and services on the App Store. Apple also provides various training and certification programs to support IT professionals in deploying and managing Apple products within their organizations. As much as we adore its products, we equally adore the way Apple produces visually spectacular and emotionally stirring advertisements that highlight its goods' distinctive characteristics and advantages. The company's advertisements often have streamlined, understated aesthetics, highlighting the product and its features. Additionally, Apple's marketing strategies frequently use storytelling to engage consumers emotionally. It is known for creating unique, captivating, and thought-provoking advertisements. A prime example is the well-known Think Different campaign. Hence, it is understood that Apple will continue to be a strong brand with its marketing plans and revenue generation in the future. So, what are your thoughts on the brand? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Well, it's truly fascinating how a company as gigantic as Apple can implement such strategies, taking advantage of its massive platform. But what does this mean for the future of smaller businesses trying to compete in the same space? And how might this impact the way we as consumers interact with our favorite brands? If you found this video enlightening, don't forget to hit that like button. And we're curious to know, what do you think about Apple's strategy? Do you see it as a genius move or a bit on the shady side? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for more intriguing insights and discussions. Until next time.